Okay, I think that's okay. Good enough. So the way we'll work tonight is I'll do a what? Lower, quieter. Usually I'm told to speak up. I'll leave that to you, Robin. So I'll begin with a brief introduction, and then we'll do a practice, after which we'll take a little stretch break, and then we'll just talk about what happened for the rest of the evening. So letting go, even better, letting go into openness. Well, letting go of what? Well, as much as we can. And so our condition is really multidimensional. As we know, we have a body, energy, and mind. And so we want to let go of our grasping, our holding, our tensions. That's the gist of it. Letting go of our tensions, the tensions that we hold in our body and our muscles. There's like the gross tensions. And so we can get a massage or we can exercise, and then those loosen up for a time. But then as we sit, then we become aware there's also more subtle tensions that are held in our body, in our soft tissues. And these tensions are related to our energy, subtle body, the way the prana gets blocked or not in the system, our emotional charge. These things, of course, are intimately related, the physical body, the emotional body, which is um, also understood in the East, not just in Buddhism, um, to correspond with our breathing. The prana is an intimate relationship with our breathing. And so it's very, very common for us to one extent or another, to be holding our breath in this world. So this is something we also have to release on that hold and let ourselves breathe more fully and deeply. And of course, as we do that, then we feel more, getting more in tune with the subtle body. Now, of course, the thing that motivates us to hold our breath and to brace has to do with the mind. As the Buddha was very clear, the mind is king. And we can relax our tensions for a short time, whether it's a massage or an exercise or something. And exercise is a good one because then we really feel good afterwards. And so the way this is normally understood in our culture is, oh, those are the endorphins, which then takes us back to biochemistry and back to the body, because the West doesn't understand this third part. We have a very binary way of thinking. There's the body and the mind. But really, there's also this relationship between the two that's linked to our breathing. So, given our situation, we're very up here, very cognitive. And then in the last, whatever it's been, 20 or 30 years, when we become more and more um, extensions of our devices, we become even more consolidated up here, more shallow breath, something more cognitive, more conceptual, trying to figure out things, including trying to fix ourselves. We have all sorts of programs and mental ideas about how to improve ourselves, become awakened, and so forth and so on. So it seems to be very important for us, modern, postmodern people like us, and maybe even more so Westerners, to really drop our center of gravity from up here down into the throat, into the heart, and into the belly. Because what's really common, what was been kind of confounding for Eastern teachers, is they would come over here and they would present very advanced teachings. And at first they're excited because, oh, they in wherever it is, Tibet or Nepal, people aren't so educated. And so the Westerners get it, but we can't take it in so easy because there's a kind of very deep rooted disquiet that you don't see so much in the third world, whether it's India or Peru or Tibet, Nepal, different places I've been. You get into the country, especially, but sometimes even in the city, and people are just more happy. They have nothing. They maybe live in um, dirt floored huts, but there's a buoyant quality to them and a sense of well-being that is really not the same thing for us. We're more estranged from this sort of basic organic goodness of being alive, of breathing deeply, of being in the play of phenomena. We're more compelled to try to control things, and our culture totally, of course, supports having answers and being in control. So letting go, we want to let go of our physical tensions and relax. We want to let go of our emotional holding. And then, of course, the crux of the whole thing is to let go of the sense of being apart from the flux, apart from what's happening. This division between self and other, inside and outside, subject and object. We want to relax this compulsion, really, this keen, one thought after the other that keeps us in a objectivizing frame of mind, like we talked about last Sunday in a little more depth. So we want to relax all these things. And so this is where I think our practice has to be holistic. Because if we're just going with our insight, we're not going to, that insight is going to have a very hard time percolating down into the defended heart and into the protected belly above all. The fear, our fears, our hopes, different ways that we have undissolved trauma, this undissolved sense of there's something off about me. I don't feel quite settled in myself, which is just totally common for just most of us. So we're going to have to open up to the ways that we're apart from the flow of our experience. So um, this is our challenge. And I think it's so important to respect the conditioning, even though we live in a certain sense at the height of the empire. We've been conditioned by this high tech, super uh, conceptual, knowing so much stuff, science and so forth. And we've lost touch. So we need to regain that touch by letting go of how it is we're holding ourselves, in some sense tight, in some sense tense, without even knowing we're doing it. This is the thing that confounded a number of Eastern teachers. The Westerners seem to get it, but they're not able to explain how they can't get it. So we have to we have to unravel our own knots. So let's then do a little practice. And so some of you will already know this, but for those who don't, we're going to begin with doing some deep breathing in the service. Really, it's a balancing breaths. Sometimes I call it the 9 breaths, um, so that we can get ourselves more into our body and have our system be more aerated, more lively. So if you don't know it, the 9 breaths go like this. If you're a man, you begin with your right arm. A woman begins with her left. And you inhale that arm corresponding to your sex, inhaling up and then closing the corresponding nostrils. So men, inhale with the right, closing the right nostril, exhaling through the left. Then you're empty, you come down. That's 1 breath. And then it's the other arm. Women right, men left, inhaling up, closing the other nostril, and then exhaling through the opposite nostril. That's 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 times each side. And then kind of sitting up straight and inhaling from the belly all the way up, like you're filling a vase of water. Inhaling all the way up and then exhaling all the way down and then coming down, if you can do it, to the floor or your knees or whatever is in front of you. So exhaling down, you're empty, coming back, inhaling up, and then exhaling down again, and then a third time after that. So 3 right, 3 left, and then 3 both nostrils, exhaling. And there's a visualization that some of you might know, and so you can apply that. But the main thing for everybody is simply the breathing, and then we'll move into a meditation. staying attuned to the rhythm of that breath, letting yourself be fully and completely breathed down to the base of the belly, totally filled, and then emptied all the way out, totally empty. Letting your breath do what it wants to do, unmanaged, unconstrained, unconditioned. Breathing through the whole body. And tuning in to the actuality of how that breath, that prana, is flowing through your whole body, from the top of the head down through the forehead and the eyes, cheeks, the nose, lips, and jaw, down into the neck. And in your own way, continuing to move through your body, inhabiting it just as the breath inhabits this body. As you tune into the sensations of breathing, likewise, tuning into the sensations throughout the body, noticing as you go through the shoulders and arms and hands, the sensory awareness you find there, or maybe it's numb, and just noticing that in the most gentle way possible. Oh, I can't feel something, some area, and just noticing it and moving on into the chest, along the spine, down the heart and lungs. This incredible exchange they do, totally miraculous. Then down into the abdomen and the digestive organs at your own pace, going down there into the pelvis. Letting yourself sit there on the buttocks, a sexual being. And down into the thighs and all the way down to the soles of the feet. Going at your own pace, taking your time if you like. Noticing any tensions you encounter along the way, exhaling those, letting those go. As you inhabit yourself a little more fully, tune in to those places of holding. Maybe places that are also numb, maybe also places where there's pain, whatever it is, wherever your attention is drawn within the body. Allowing your awareness to saturate those areas. Breathing in, exhaling, letting go. If you haven't already, expanding your awareness to include your emotional body, tuning in to whatever the felt sense is that your system is holding, that your system is carrying, living through just now. How you feel, how it is. The whole body, the whole system. And in particular, tuning into wherever there's a glitch, a tension in the muscles, a tension somehow in your emotional being, your feelingfulness. And let yourself breathe into and through that, letting yourself settle into the actual way things are. allowing for the flow of thoughts as well. Noticing if your mind is sticking on to something or another. Mental tensions. What you worry about. What you're afraid of. What you hope for. Tuning into everything all at once. And see if you can notice this sort of global felt sense of how you hold yourself together, your stance these days in life. Your attitude, which others may or may not know about. In general, your state of mind. The sense of me. Let your feelings, your intuitions, just unravel all the way out to the edges of that self sense. The protective shell. It might be next to impossible to talk about. So you're going to have to go with your intuition on this, with your felt intelligence. The surface tension of you. And let come to mind what you already know about, how it is you defend yourself, how it is you promote yourself, your style, your habit patterns, your personality style. Open yourself to the whole of it, taking it all into consideration. including the price, the toll it takes on you, your relationships, that whatever pops in mind, pop in mind. Only let it continue to flow, registering the felt sense as much as more than the content, the what it is that scares you or that you hope for. Include that, but don't fixate on it. Let your center of gravity be very much there in the belly and the heart, base of the lungs. Letting your awareness permeate throughout your aura, whole body, the emotional body, the mental body. And then let your awareness go beyond these boundaries. Just like the aura goes beyond the skin boundary and into space. Letting your energy radiate. And then pose this question to yourself. Do I need to hold on to what I'm holding on to? Do I need to hold myself together and perform me in the way that I'm holding myself together? If not, what happens if I let go of my tensions in the body, in my feelings, in my opinions, in my opinions, in my opinions, and I let go of all of it a little bit? How is that? What happens if I let go of my position and I become untethered, open, undefended? How is it? How does it feel? And what happens if I let go a little bit more? Letting my awareness become spacious without boundaries. Letting my awareness become totally settled in itself, without being micromanaged. How's that feel? Breathe the feeling in. Let the feeling go. Exhaling. Letting the meditation go also. Letting go of the body tensions. Letting go of the emotional tensions. Letting go of the mental fixations, preoccupations. Letting yourself be the being that you are. Breathing in how that is. Exhaling, not hanging on to it. Letting the lightness of your being just float through, flow through. And if there's snares, glitches, snags, let that be the way it is. Also, breathing into it, exhale, release. Letting go of having to be in control. Letting go of having to be in the know. Letting yourself be in the mystery, the open, groundless, flow without holding on, without pushing away. For those in the Zoom world, this is the bell ringing. So for those who could use a stretch or a bathroom break, now's the time. So, what do you think? Was it just, was it did it make sense? Was it possible to get like this global sense of body, mind, energy tension, this kind of way we hold ourselves together? It's very subtle. It's, hard to talk about. We can talk about our issues, what the whats that are our problem or that drive us crazy or but the how we hold our problems dicier, particularly when we get more subtle. On a psychological level, it's hard enough. When we start drilling down to the core, it's elusive. Gotta go. We gotta go with this more subtle cognizance. Or I like this language, felt sensing or intuition. So how was it for you? I mean, where would you be without your holding?
Ken, I just want to say that if you're on Zoom, you can raise your virtual hand or actual hand or write your comment question in the chat, and I will read it out.
Mark. Oh,
Hi, sorry. And I'm Jen from the temple. And Mark, I'm going to pass you this microphone so the folks on Zoom can hear you. Sorry, wearing many hats.
So during the meditation, I came to this kind of familiar place where once the sort of
A little bit closer.
the more physical tensions relaxed. I have a sense this, you use this word at one point of a shell, and there's actually the shell, I sense it as like a sense of identity,
yeah, good.
like simply the
Right.
shell of identity, which is held like very unmovingly. And if it were to relax, it would be like the bottom would drop out. Not particularly fearfully, it's just such a habit to be an identity, to be a me, that was where I was kind of hanging out, in this place where it's like the shell of identity. If that let goes, it's all just infinite at that point. But yeah, it feels very much like such a habit, that very solid, but subtle too. It's not immediately obvious. I'm not making much sense, but
No, you
I think
absolutely are
it's-
making sense. Because yeah, that's what we're exactly the point. It's just another word, identity, but it's a really good word because it kind of captures the whole of it. Me versus everything else. Yeah, so this is an identification process that happens. We don't even know it. We don't even know it's going on. It happens at such an early point in our lives when really, when we're infants almost. It's certainly when we're toddlers. My ball, that process, it's just totally innocent. It comes, it comes with our psychology. It comes with consciousness.
And I would say also, it doesn't really have any content particularly. It's not like rich and complex. It's very simple. It's just sort of a me without particularly thoughts or feelings particularly, other than very solid, like kind of holding on.
Hi, this is Douglas. As I sunk deeper into meditation, feeling like I was sinking deeper in my body, um, I experienced being kind of in the center of these opposing forces. And it was like the energy wanted to move out. And then it also wanted to move in, almost like, centrifugal force and gravity holding some sort of equilibrium, um, or grasping or pushing, and being in the middle of that, and just kind of observing this kind of constant opposition that kept things in balance.
Right. Yeah, it gets very personal, very subtle, and just how we have attitude, either to the right or to the left, or like trying to find like this center point, push, pull, this kind of movements.
It was like those opposing forces are holding everything together.
Or is it a problem?
I didn't really experience it as a problem. I just kind of like observed the functioning of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, both as you're speaking, as Mark was speaking too, maybe these, whatever, this place, push pull or identity, it's not clear if it's a problem or not. Because the challenge is to discriminate between a position, a content, this not rather than that, me rather than you, or existence, versus awareness. Because awareness can seem like an identity, because it is the thing that has been with us all along. So when you get down to these very subtle levels, there can be a way we might talk about it as a sense of meanness, but that's not necessarily a separate entity. So that's the kind of thing to tune into, to discern, not so much cognitively, that is a little too blunt, but intuitively. Because maybe our sense of balance or identity is actually just another word for awareness, naked awareness, which of course is who we are. So the inquiry in terms of going very intimate, this is the good point.
Yeah, and maybe those opposing forces are enacting an identity.
There's some management involved, isn't there?
Which is happening.
Yeah. So, okay.
On Zoom here, we have Nicholas. Go ahead, Nicholas.
Thank you, Adam. Hello, Ken. Good evening, and thank you. Hello, everyone. Ken, my question tonight, working with your guidance, where I'm confused is how to let this bottom fall, like Mark was, calling it, and this shell of identity. And from that perspective, how to relate to the world again. Like basically I'm trying to do both, basically, to be in the world and go deeper, to go forward and go in at the same time, deeper both ways. And I'm ending up more confused than ever. So it's confusing to relate to the world. I mean, I'm trying that feeling that is great, not to become an escapist, a pursuit, and then being with that, or from that place, however deep I was able to go, and then being in the world, it is confusing at the same time.
Okay. I think you're trying to do too much, Nicholas. You're trying to do two things, and it's not gonna, as you know, it's not gonna work well, and it's gonna be confusing. The bottom dropping out is the first thing. And letting our tethers go, letting the way we reference ourselves in so many ways, letting those relax, and to the point where the bottom falls out. The bottom falls out, so that what that means is we are in the world. So the second part of the question, how to be in the world, that takes care of itself. As long as we remain true to the openness that's already intelligent. Which is to say, the nature of our mind. Simply being. If that we can let the bottom fall out, which is also already a kind of a victory, then the challenge doesn't become adjusting or anything, it becomes resting in that openness that's already saturated with intelligence and awareness. But the mind is not used to that. So it doesn't usually last long, particularly in the beginning. But even later on, these habit patterns that we've been working on for, many lifetimes, these deeply rooted samskaras, they will reassert themselves. And so then there's different ways of practicing, which we talked about some Sunday. There's the basic way of practicing and a sort of gradual way of calming down, and then looking in, kind of noticing what it is we're doing, how we're doing what we're doing. And then, of course, there's the more direct way of finding ourselves. The bottom drops out, and we find ourselves present just for a moment. Then it's a different practice. That's the practice of relaxation. Nothing, at that point, there's nothing that can be improved. There's nothing missing. And so, first of all, we have to see, is that true for ourselves? And once we have an experience, then we want to have another one because it'll pass. And then the practice becomes one of trust. Trusting that it's okay for the bottom to fall out. So it's okay to be open and undefended. And the only way to really pull that off is to risk it. Yeah, so if the bottom falls out and then you start thinking, well, how am I going to show up in the world? Okay, the bottom is already returned. That, because that question itself, me in the world, wanting to be integrated, there's all kind of ways we can make sense of that. But already we're talking to ourselves. And we're not in relationship. We're talking to ourselves rather than being in connection with the flux.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah, so like, again, the main thing about letting go, it's like there's really no way to do it. This is kind of important. We think like there's a way to do it. That means we're doing something. That we're doing. We're invested. We have an intention. We're holding on to that agenda. So to let go is to relax that. For example, to relax wanting to let go. For instance, it could be that. Then we're not in control, right? I know what I need to do. I need to let go. And then if we let go of that, it's like, yikes. Ka-chink. Now we're talking. Now we're in the main vein. Ah. Hmm.
Hi, it's Marie. Softening, relaxing, to me feels the essence of what you're speaking of. So like when you catch yourself with anything that can tense, grasp, want, control, like all of it just feels like keep breathing and soften that, which isn't that kind of doing? Or just, I get it about the doing because that's the controlling, right? It's like in line with controlling effort.
Yeah. But that's okay. If we use that, because we can't be too rigid with ourselves.
Mhm.
And this is kind of what I was, I'm trying to understand better and better, even though I've been a psychologist for a long time, how much we feel like we have to manage ourselves, right? So it's okay to soften, even though that involves a little doing, softening, exhaling, Tonglen style. Yes, that is a meditation. That is an intention. There is a little tension in that, but it's going in this direction of opening. So we want to settle our system. Basically, this is the price of admission. We settle the system. We want to relax, calm down. We can do this in a shamatha sort of a way, a calm abiding sort of way, very deliberately. That involves that involves doing. Or we can just like find ourselves open. It doesn't matter. Settling is important in either, however we get there. And so there's calming, there's settling with effort, and then settling more potently without effort when we just let ourselves be. But I say just, that's not so easy. Letting the bottom fall out, letting ourselves, not be defended, including the recognition that offense can be the better defense. So not going toward, not going away. We have to ready our system, prepare ourselves. And so we just do that the best we can, given the tools that we've been taught, that we have at our disposal. So it's okay, but that's the correct direction. Soft, relaxed, exhale. At some point, it can become a glitch. But we don't have to worry about that until it is a glitch. So Vivian.
You just said the word that I was going to ask the question about, which was glitch. So you said to look earlier on, as we were going through the body and finding those places of tension. I found some tension, and well, first of all, I think that I'm very good at bypassing those tensions. So I really recognized how I set my life up so that I don't have to experience the contractions that I've set up within my personality. I guess that's the way to, I don't know quite the right words. So as I was moving through, I recognized emotions that were connected to the contractions that were particularly in the diaphragm, and the emotions of shame particularly. And memories came up and all kinds of kind of intense feelings. And then as we moved through, of course, it's so easy for me to just go into, I mean, relative into kind of pass by that. So I guess my question is, I still have, like, particularly with the sense of identity in relationship to how I appear to others. So there's a self and an other. I don't know how to ask this question. I've just set my life up so that I can move, so I don't have to deal with that very much. And I meditate a lot, and I've been able to transcend and love that expansive awareness. But there's still, the glitch is still there. So I guess I don't know what my question is, like, how can that be? Actually, I guess that's my question.
Yeah. This is the thing I think we have to really take to heart. It can be humiliating, particularly those of us who've been practicing a long time and are dedicated meditators. That there's a way that the practices can be used to avoid, to bypass. Both there's the element around the heart. And when we get prone to such things like arrogance, pride, arrogance, these are very often heart-based things. But often the deeper holdings are our belly stuff, diaphragm, gut, more towards the base of the spine. And so we have survived because we've been able to bypass that. So this is important. Bypassing may have saved our bacon, may have allowed us to thrive in the world, that we could put the really disturbing stuff kind of off to the side, and we could, as the word says, overcome. Right? We overcame our limitations. We overcame our fears or our certain degree of embarrassment about ourselves or something or other. But that's not been released. So we need to be able to have our practice be honest, in the sense that I think it's just so helpful to have it be very, very body-based. Because as it's body-based, then we have better access to the subtle body and the way that the mind has incorporated itself into our our psychic system. Your breath is important, breathing deeply. So we do our best, but noticing it is already halfway there. Right? And so then we can play with our meditation. Like, is there a way that I'm like subtly going into a samadhi here that is not open? And so this is where also these more advanced style practices like Dzogchen are very helpful. Because the idea isn't to get into a still space and stay there. We want to allow our energies to flow, allow our luminosity to radiate, which means allowing our feelings to flow. So this having this thing that, yes, there's emptiness. Emptiness is extremely important. Without that, nothing quite works. But then with that, realizing emptiness moves. Emptiness is still. There's nothing there. Has no flavor, has no appearance, no form. But that the formlessness of our awareness is unquenchable. It's unstoppable. It keeps bubbling over. And so this is where the Dzogchen really privileges the bubbling. And so letting this stuff, because these deeper holdings, and whatever we want to call it, we can call it bypassing. We could also call it our defenses that have saved us. They're not bad. Our repressions, sublimations, various things, our narcissism, all these things that have these negative connotations, realize actually they served a purpose. And that we have a choice whether we keep going anymore. Maybe as a kid we had to do certain things. And so letting our meditation be educated by our insight. This is just basic Vipassana, self-insight. So that's what you're speaking to. And the ways we can fool ourselves are legion. We can fool ourselves in gross ways, and we can also fool ourselves in quite subtle ways. So having more and more a practice that's totally focused on awareness, that is privileging awareness as such, groundless, boundless, openness, that will help tune our system to a kind of naked honesty. So in terms of how to proceed, we're going to need to end on time today, so I can't go over like I usually do. But I wanted to share this poem with you. This is from a Reverend Sapphire Rose. You know, it's that one. She let go. She let go without a thought or a word. She let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry. She just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on or watch a webcast on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her calendar. She made no public announcement and made no mention of it on TikTok or Facebook. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 7-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and moon shone evermore. She just let go. Didn't make a thing about it at all. Didn't make it a project. Wasn't looking for victory. She just let go. Now, how's that for good timing, huh? Okay, so let's just dedicate the merit here, the energy, the attention, the sincerity that we've brought here tonight has resulted in no question in the accumulation of merit for us. So let's give that merit away to others. May all beings be happy and nourish the causes of happiness. May we be free of suffering and its causes. May we never be parted from happiness, free from sorrow. May all beings be free of attachment, aggression, fear, indifference, arrogance, and envy, and remain in great equanimity, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and real compassion. May all beings everywhere be free.